Hello mathematicians and welcome back to Inverse Functions. Hopefully you gave looking at points your turn to try. Here are my answers. Feel free to pause the video right here to compare my answers to your answers. If not, I'm going to go on to the next page and start with graphing. Now, I want you to remember that graphing is just a set of points that are connected together. So we're going to take what we just did with points, finding the inverse where we flipped them, and we're just going to stretch it out a little bit and apply it to this. So my first step is I'm going to choose a couple of points on the graph. I'm going to add here that I want you to choose some clear points, and I'm going to cover that right now in a bit. The second step is, well, let's think. How do you find the inverse of points? What did we just do? If you said we just flipped them, that's exactly what we did. We're going to flip the chosen points. And then our last step is we're going to graph them again. So we're going to graph the new points. So looking at this function, I'm going to find some pretty points, was what I like to call them. As you can see, your worksheet already has circles. I assisted in helping you choose these points. But what I mean by pretty points is that this point right here is perfectly intersecting on these lines right here. So you could have chosen a point right here. But do we see that this point is not perfectly on the grid? It's in between these two lines. That's going to give me fractions and decimals. All of the nice points, the nice whole numbers, are exactly on the lines. So to avoid getting fractions and decimals, I want to choose pretty points so that I get pretty numbers to work with. So my first step is I'm going to choose some pretty points. So I already have them chosen out. So I'm going to look for the name of that point. Now, if you need a refresher on graphing, please let your teacher/LF know. If not, I'll give you a crash course. So if we recap, points are in the form of a parentheses with a comma, and there's two numbers in the middle. The first number is always x, and the second number is always y. This corresponds to our axes. This is our x-axis, and this is our y-axis. So the way we find points is that we always start at 0, 0, and we want to figure out a way to get to our wanted point up here. But there's an order we have to go. First, I have to see how I move on my x-axis. So how am I going to move left or right to get to my point? And then how am I going to move on my y-axis? So how am I going to move up and down to get to my point? So if I'm at my origin right here, I see I have to move on my x-axis to the left. So I have to go 1, 2, and 3. Now if you notice, we have a bunch of negative numbers. So this is -3. I have to go to -3 on my x-axis. So that's going to be my first number. And then my second number is going to be how much I have to go up or down. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have to go up 9, positive 9, to get to my point. So I'm going to go a little faster this time. Looking at my second point, I see that starting again at my origin, I have to go 1, 2 on my x-axis. And that is -2 because I'm moving to the left, and again, we have a bunch of negative numbers right here. And then to move on my y-axis to get to my point, I have to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my next number is going to go -4. Looking at this point right here, I'm already at my origin. I don't have to move anywhere left or on my x-axis or my y-axis. So it's 0, 0. This one will be 2, 4. And my last point is going to be 3, 9. Again, if you need more support or review on graphing, please let your teacher or your Aleph know. So that's the first step. My second step now is to flip the chosen points. So we're finding the inverse of these points. So instead of -3, 9, I'm going to have 9, -3. Instead of -2, -4, I'm going to have -4, -2. 0, 0 stays the same when I flip it. 2, 4 becomes 4, 2. And then we have 9, 3. So now I'm going to plot these points. That's the last step. I'm going to graph the new points. So to graph, again, I'm starting at 0, 0. Remember that my first number is always x and my second number is always y. So this is saying I'm going to go 9 on my x-axis. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, I counted wrong. Oh, no, yep, 9. Okay. And then I'm going to go -3 on my y-axis. So that means I'm going to go down. 1, 2, 3. And here is my first point. Now doing my second point, -4, -2. Oh, I'm so sorry. That should not be a -4 right here. That should be a +4. Whoops, you see, even math teachers make mistakes. So, continuing on, I'm going to start my origin. I'm going to go 4 on my x-axis. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to go -2 on my y-axis. So I'm going to go 1 and 2. And here is my next point. So go ahead and graph the rest of these points. So you should have something like this, and we're going to connect them because that's what makes our graph, is connected points. And here is my inverse graph. So as you can see, it's the same as my graph, but I just flipped it over to one side. So the shape should stay the same. If you get a different shape, you should double check your work. I'm going to try out this second example. I'm going to move a little faster. So step 1, I'm going to choose some nice clear points. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the name of these points are 0, 5, -1, 2, -2, -1, and then -3, -4. So step 2, I'm going to flip them. So 5, 0, 2, -1, -1, -2, and -3, -4. And my last step is I'm going to plot them. So this is 5, 0 right here. 2, -1 is right here. -1, -2 is right here. And then -3, -4 is right here. So as you can see, my shape is not the same. So that means something wrong happened. So I'm going to double check that my points are the correct over here. 0, 5 is correct. -1, 2 is correct. -2, -1 is correct. And -3, -4 is correct. But what I notice is I forgot to flip this one. Did you see that? So if I fix this point, maybe it's going to fix my issue. So if I go -4, -3, it's right here. And if I connect them, it makes a straight line, which is the same shape as this one. And again, it's just in a different direction. So go ahead and give these a try. Find some nice points, flip them, graph them, and I'll see you for the next section.